Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here on Tuesday, August 13th, 2013. Tuesday, August 13th, 2013. Welcome aboard for another live edition of Fire Your MD Now. Now, one of the things that I do that you may or may not know about is lecture extensively all around the world, quite frankly, for longevity, bringing to the masses with free seminars. Dr. Wallach's message of health recovery through science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Had the pleasure of being in Costa Mesa, California this last weekend, Saturday evening, hosted by Sandy Ellsberg. It was a great event. About 81 people were there listening to our message of health recovery through medical nutrition. There were a couple of really stunning testimonials, and as always, we went for a long time. I mean, just start me talking and look out. We started at 9:30 and we ended at 3 o'clock. We started at 9:30, we ended at 3 o'clock. We had a 45-minute lunch break. This is a testament to how hungry people are for knowledge. People just wouldn't leave. I mean, even when we were done, we had to leave the room because they were setting up for another event in the room. About 15 people were with me in the hall outside of the main room, continuing to ask me questions. Why? Because we have been let down, and we have been let down hard by conventional medicine. Let me say it once more. We have been let down, and let down hard by the conventional medical system that's here in the United States. Quite frankly, that's here in North America, that's here in all around the world. It's MD-directed medicine 100% of the time. All of the time. The MDs get all the money. They get all the insurance payments. They work in the hospitals. You don't have any naturopathic hospitals, do you? Do you have any chiropractic hospitals? How about acupuncturist or traditional Chinese hospitals? Seen any of those around lately? No. Seen any naturopathic cancer treatment centers? No, because that's illegal. We don't have a free medical market in the United States, and we have been brainwashed, enculturated through over 100 years of pharmaceutical savvy and profiteering to believe that the MD knows what's best for us, when in point of fact, the MD only knows what they've been trained in. And when you dial it right down to the bare bones, when you drill it right down to the core taproot, the education of an MD and the clinical work of an MD is as a shill for the pharmaceutical companies. Medical doctors stopped practicing medicine in the 1920s. The only physicians with an MD after their name that actually practice medicine are military field surgeons, emergency room docs, and people that do specialize in surgery and that only do surgery when surgery is necessary, because this is the domain of the MD, for goodness sake. But, you know, in the free world, it's free more or less because of our cultural conditioning. We go to the MD for everything because the drug companies have told us that the MD is the king. And everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack. And by the way, it should be illegal for MDs to say that they practice health care, because they do not. They practice disease management. On every hospital in the United States, it should be mandated that they have to remove the words health care from their advertising, because they do not practice health care. If they practiced health care, our health would be getting better, but it is getting worse. Alzheimer's risen from obscurity to the 6th leading cause of death. Autism, 1 out of 50, used to be 1 out of 10,000. 12 women a day die from overdoses of prescription pain meds. 780,000 people a year are killed by MDs, and nobody goes to jail. For goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, we are way down the rabbit hole here. Everything, you know, constant surveillance, that's liberty. Pharmaceutical medicine that doesn't fix you, that's the best health care in the world. Leading cause of bankruptcy, also MD-directed medicine. Well, guess what? We are here to pull back the curtain, and give you a different perspective. Perhaps a more true perspective. Perhaps a perspective on health and on wealth which rings true to you. Alex Jones is right. There's a program afoot in the world to manipulate what you know and what you don't know. And you've been hit on two fronts here. The first front, of course, the one that I talk about, the medical front. We have our Tuesday afternoon guest with us this afternoon, Mr. Mike Randolph, the Vice President of Leadership Development at the Longevity Company. And Mike is going to talk about the other aspect of how we've been manipulated, the money side. My pleasure to introduce to everybody Mike Randolph. I think we have Mike all dialed in. Mike, can you hear me? Am I coming in loud and clear, buddy?
You loud and clear. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we're good across the board, Mr. Randolph. It's always a pleasure. So give me your thoughts on this, buddy. What is it, from your point of view, what is at the root of people's stubbornness and intractability to embrace new ideas, even when the old ideas are hurting them? What do you think is up with that?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Doc. I was reintroduced to a concept earlier this week called willful blindness. Mob rule is an amazing thing that you can speak to an individual and give them good information. They can make good decisions most of the time. But if you take a group of people and you give them information, sometimes they can't make the right decisions to save their own lives. And this happens to be one of those cases where I don't think, you talk a lot about the fact that people don't know that they don't know what they don't know. I think in a lot of cases, people don't want to know that they don't know what they don't know, meaning that we've got our heads in the sand on purpose. We want it there. It seems to be more comfortable. And it's on every front. It's not just on the medical front. It's on the wealth front as well. We're brainwashed into thinking that the only way to provide for our families is to punch that clock. It's to get that annual salary. It's to drive in that traffic during rush hour. It's to be in the herd along with the rest of the folks. I don't know if you've ever been to a dairy farm, but I used to have a friend who had a business right next to a dairy farm, and we used to watch those cows every single day on schedule. They would line up to go into the barn to get milked and to eat. And did you know that there was a hierarchy to that line, and they got in the same order every single day, and they jumped into that rut, and they stood there, and they waited in line, and it just looked like, to me, it looked like the Santa Monica Freeway at rush hour. Everybody just lined up. They think that's where they belong. You know what? I don't think they want to know there's a better way. There's part of the human condition that doesn't want us always to admit that we've been lied to, that doesn't always want to admit, but that we're not always right. And the chosen few, when you peel the veil back, as you do every day at this time, some people hear the message and they reject it, not because it's a bad message, not because it won't help them, but because it exposes the fact that we've been misled. And, when we go see a magician, we'd love to be tricked. But in the rest of our lives, I don't think we want to admit that we've been tricked. And I think that's a big challenge.
It's like the fella said, right? I mean, it's like the old maxim that ignorance is bliss. And I think that there's a lot to that, right? I think that there's a lot to this notion that, the devil that you do know is better than maybe devil that you don't know. Maybe it's an angel, maybe it's a devil you don't know, but certainly ignorance is bliss. And this kind of mental intractability really is a signature of history. I mean, when you look back at all of the advances that have been made in the arts and in sciences and in finances, all of the advances when these new ideas were first proposed, I mean, it was heretical. Like throw Galileo in jail because it's not the Earth, it's at the center of the solar system. What are you, crazy? Let's throw Dr. Semmelweis in jail because he's saying that illness is caused by these little unseen things, and doctors should wash their hands before they deliver babies. What are you talking about, a democracy? It's the king that's supposed to rule. New ideas always come slowly. We evolve culturally slowly because of a mental intractability, which I think is built into the human species. However, my thoughts about this are that with the advent of the Internet, it's all going to change because, you know, the truth has a particular ring to it. I mean, the reason that Starbucks became so successful is because espresso drinks are awesome. They taste great. And coffee, without coffee, you know, nothing would get done in the world, let's be honest. So it's not that Starbucks pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. It's because they're delivering something that everybody wants. And when people use it and have easy access to it, boom, they're going to do more because it's kind of like a free market. Well, the Internet has the potential to bring to the playing field a free market here, more or less, because what we're disseminating is information. We're not selling a darn thing. We're not. I mean, in the final essence, when you drill it all the way down, we're not selling a darn thing. What we're doing is showing people what we're up to and encouraging them to do it themselves. And guess what? When they do it themselves, they get results. So I think that that moving forward now, you know, it's the new Beck tune of the Mayan calendar, right? It's a whole new day here. It's a whole new day. And I think one of the characteristics of time and the culture that we live in now, moving forward because of the Internet, is that people's mental intractability now is going to yield. And what's it going to yield to? It's going to yield to the truth. Because the truth has a ring to it, and with the advent of the Internet and everything that Youngevity is doing by building a grassroots coalition of the informed, after a while, our message is going to become so predominant and so easy for people to access, and so many people are going to understand what we're up to, apply what we're up to, and get results. I don't know, man. The future is looking very bright indeed. More with Mike Randolph when we come back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Peter Glidden. Today is Tuesday, August 13th, 2013. It's the luckiest day of your life. You've tuned in to another live edition of Fire Your MD Now. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, your steadfast advocate for health, reminding you that only you can prevent allopathic reductionism. We're talking about some very interesting things here with my Tuesday afternoon guest, Mike Randolph, the Vice President of Leadership Development with Youngevity. And Mike, you know, certainly anybody that's involved with network marketing is going to tell you that in order to get one person, you have to show it to 10, 15, or 20, right? And this is certainly one of the secrets to growing a successful Youngevity business. And the fact of the matter is that even in a crappy economy, like we have this year, even in a crappy economy like we had last year, even in a crappy economy like we had the year before that, Youngevity is growing, and it's not only growing, but it's picking up momentum like a snowball rolling down a hill. So, you know, I think, number one, the game is afoot, and number two, the future is looking very bright indeed. Your thoughts?
Well, you know what, we talk about you know, mob rule and people in general not wanting to take the red pill, not wanting to know the truth. But there is hope because people are coming to Youngevity by the thousands. You know, you and I were speaking earlier about some of our popular products. We were looking at sales volume. We like to look at things. We like to see the indicators going up. And one of the things that I neglected to mention to you earlier is that already this month, we've begun to eclipse sales last month. Now, July was a record-breaking month. Traditionally, in our industry, the summertime is when people take a mental vacation as well as a staycation or whatever people are doing these days. But we're moving product right now like it's going out of style. We introduced that new Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, that peach fusion flavor that everybody absolutely loves. I predict within the next couple of months, not only is it going to become our number one product, it's going to eclipse, you know, every other product combined, meaning that not only will it be number one, but it itself will represent more than 50% of sales, which tells me that people are starting to get it. Enough people are pulling their heads out of the sand, so to speak. Enough people are starting to make a difference. And like you were mentioning, if you look at history, if you look back, there's always a tipping point to when an idea is rejected, and then it seems like overnight it is commonplace. It is taken on not just by a local community or a town or the country, but by the entire world. And I see that coming for longevity. I see that coming not just for network marketing, but for our entire organization. We're in the right place at the right time. We go back a couple weeks, we talked about, the impending doom of Obamacare. I think it's the greatest thing to happen to health and wellness since, the invention of penicillin or the hypodermic needle, useful tools. The renaissance and the revolution is coming. And, how many of us are going to look back and say, I got introduced to that longevity company, but I thought it was one of those things. I shoulda, coulda, woulda, oughta. Maybe I should have bought stock when it was 20 cents or 25 cents or 30 cents a share, like we all say about Apple and we all say about Walmart. Dr. Wallach has been ahead of the curve for decades. Well, the time has come. And I think that he and you are, you've got your swords out, you're leading the charge, and you're not afraid to get bugs in your teeth as we go forward.
Well, if history tells us one thing, it's that the human spirit is indomitable. And, when we come up against adversity, we find a way around it. I mean, we made it through the Great Depression. We made it through World War I. We made it through World War II, for goodness sake. We separated ourselves from Great Britain, right? I mean, and the Civil War, and the beat goes on. Whenever you back Homo sapien up against the wall, they will find a way. Life will find a way. The human spirit will find a way. And you're absolutely correct. I could not agree with you more that Obamacare is going to force people into a free market for health care, and when they're in a free market for health care and actually have to pay hard-earned cash instead of insurance premiums, which is also hard-earned cash, but there's a disconnect there, people are going to start to gravitate towards the stuff that produces results, and this is how we're going to change the world. It's the 100th monkey all over again, ladies and gentlemen. It's your turn right now to sign up. Get involved with longevity. Inquiring minds want to know, what on earth are you waiting for? There's the website, fireyourmdnow.com. Click on the longevity button and come along for the ride. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden here with Mike Randolph for more when we come back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here with another live edition. Today is August 13th, Tuesday, August 13th. We've got Mike Randolph on the line with us, and we're talking about pulling back the curtain on the way that you have been taught to be financially successful or not here in the United States. Quite frankly, all around the world, this is not just endemic to the United States. Now, the fact of the matter is that if I lived in Boston and I wanted to go to Los Angeles, well, I could walk, I could roller skate, I could ride a bike, I could ride a horse, I could cross-country ski, and, well, maybe not. I could ride a camel. I could ride a motorcycle. I could get into an old 1958 broken-down Volkswagen Bug. I could buy a nice new Honda Civic. I could drive across in a train. I could drive across in a Maserati. I could fly in an old biplane. I could fly in a 747. I could fly in a supersonic F-14. And who knows, 10 years from now, we might be able to get there in the space plane. My point is, there are different tools that you can use to get you to your destination. And depending on which tool it is that you use, you're going to get there faster or slower with a completely different experience along the way. So, longevity brings to the table an F-14 supersonic jet method of getting you from where you are right now to financial freedom. From where you are right now to financial freedom. There are two ways that you can interface with Youngevity as a customer. You just talk to a Youngevity representative, and they'll tell you what Dr. Wallach recommends to support and promote the structure and function of the part of your body that's under siege from your particular illness, or you can become a distributor. Now, if you become a distributor at the CEO level, if you become a CEO with Youngevity, it's a one-time $500 buy-in, and what you get for that is 2 healthy start packs, 150 full-sized samples, a teaching methodology that allows you to be able to share what we're up to with your family and friends immediately and qualify for a car bonus immediately. And Mr. Randolph, all of these things put together certainly beat a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
Sure does. And, you know, I love to compare it to McDonald's. McDonald's has, let's take the quality of their food and put it aside. Let's, say that it's all good for you. But they have a wonderful system. But, when you spend $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever the cost is these days for a McDonald's franchise, really, what does that get you? That gets you the right to put a big golden M out in front of your store, and it gets you a big, thick book that tells you how to run your McDonald's. It doesn't come with any French fries. It doesn't come with any burger patties or chicken nuggets or whatever all that other stuff is. When you join Youngevity as a CEO, we're going to give you the right to use the name Youngevity. We're going to give you that, well, it's not a real thick book. It's kind of a thin book because our system is a lot more simple than McDonald's. But we're going to give you more than $500 worth of product for that $499.99. The cost of that CEO product pack. The reason we do that is twofold. One, you need the products anyway. You need those healthy start packs. You need to build your business. So we're going to plug in 2 healthy start packs, which you talk about on your show all the time. We're also going to give you samples, or I shouldn't say samples, but we're going to give you full-size boxes of a lot of our most popular drink products, very good sampling products. One thing that I discovered, Dr. Glidden, is that good nutrition does not have to taste bad. We've kind of got that stigma attached to good nutrition that, it's got to taste like lawn clippings or, like something you scraped off your shoe. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that it purports to be healthy that just tastes terrible. As a matter of fact, I think Youngevity products, if you talk to Dr. Wallach, he said, boy, the first stuff we came up with really didn't taste very good. And for him to say that, that tells me a lot. But we're going to give you some of the best tasting, healthiest products to sample. Because one of the things people need to realize is that good nutrition doesn't have to taste bad. It just has to be built right. It just has to have the right ingredients, the right recipe. So not only are you going to get the book that teaches you how to build your business, not only are you going to get the right to use the Youngevity name as a distributor, not only are you going to get paid, and for those of you that can't see us online, you're going to get this book that's our compensation guide. It shows you the 10 different ways that we get paid, 10 different ways. At your JOB, you bust your tail 40 hours a week, some of us 80 hours a week, some even more. You get paid one way. You get paid however it is you get paid, and you're glad to get it, on Friday. At Youngevity, you get paid 10 different ways, and it's not based upon trading your time for money. We don't pay anybody for their time here at Youngevity. It's a kind of a radical approach. We don't pay anybody for their time. We pay people for results. And if it takes you a year to achieve a result, you get paid for it. If it takes you 1 month to achieve the same result, 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, you're going to get paid the same amount. That is a radical thing for a lot of folks, to get paid for results. And we teach you how to get those results without having to put the weight of the entire business on your back. And it comes in simple little things like this little book right here that has the 10 different ways you get paid. By the way, this is the largest publication that you really need to pay a lot of attention to. Running the business is actually in a smaller, half-size publication, because going out there and sharing information with people and filtering them it's really not that difficult. You already mentioned it. You do need to talk to a lot of people, and dare I say, because a lot of people are brainwashed. They don't want to know that they don't know what they don't know. And you just need to find the ones that are ready to make that change, and they're the ones that will reap the benefit first. We're on the front end of that curve.
Well, it's like the old parable, right? The sower had good seed, and some fell on rocky ground, and some the birds ate, and some started to grow and got choked, but some fell on fertile ground. Well, guess what? It's the same now as it was then. In order for you to get a couple people interested in longevity, you have to show it to a number of people. And I tell you the truth, though, and this is starting to happen. I think if we got Bernie Owens on the phone, he could attest to this, but Bernie Owens is a multi-million-dollar earner with longevity. He's in his 70s. He's been with longevity ever since the get-go. And he lived and still lives in a small town in upstate New York, Elmira, New York. And he started his longevity business a long time ago in this small town. And after a while, so many people in the town got so many positive benefits from it that in that town, longevity became a household word. As, oh, yeah, that longevity stuff, I know, my cousin Bill did that. And so after a fashion, because of the advent of the Internet, we're going to make the world a small town. The Internet is going to make the world a small town. For goodness sake, it's already happening. I mean, just take a look at YouTube, right? I mean, somebody, dresses their cat up in a funny outfit in Hong Kong, and before lunch, it's all over. Everybody in the world has looked at it. Well, if we can do it with stupid cat costumes, we can do it with medical truth here, because people are suffering needlessly. People are suffering for lack of knowledge, right? I mean, before we knew anything about food purification, I mean, let's just look at the Black Plague, for goodness sake. Decimated over a half of the world's population. It was caused by a little infection born on the back of a flea that was transported around Europe on rats and mice. But people didn't know that. They didn't have any conceptuality of microscopic microbial diseases, and they certainly had no conception of animal vectors for disease distribution. Just one simple piece of knowledge could have made a gigantic difference, could have changed everything, just one simple piece of knowledge. Well, guess what? We have 90 simple pieces of knowledge. 90 for life, ladies and gentlemen. This is the message that we bring to the table. This is the message that we articulate. This is the simple fact of the matter, the simple truth of how your body works that your MD is clueless about. I mean, bless their hearts. Your MD might be the nicest human being in the world, but they have no training, no respect, no appreciation, and certainly no clinical experience with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. It is not their wheelhouse. So your medical doctor does not know what they don't know, and when it comes to nutrition, there's a ton of stuff that they don't know. There's 90 things that they don't know, and this is our simple message. Your body has a God-given built-in wisdom. Your body was so smart, it grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into the magnificent manifestation of you. And holistic doctors, naturopathic physicians, chiropractors, homeopaths, acupuncturists, traditional Chinese medical practitioners all assert the one simple foundation belief that your body is endowed with a God-given wisdom, a God-given intelligence. Your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. And most of the time, actually the majority of the time, all that's necessary for healing to occur is your body needs the raw materials that it needs to fix itself. 90 essential nutrients. 90 essential nutrients is what everybody in the world needs to provide their body every day. You need food, you need air, you need water, you need the 90 essential nutrients. You need to bathe, you need to purify your water, you need to eliminate your waste, you need the 90 essential nutrients. Within a couple of decades here, this concept of the 90 essential nutrients, the 90 for life, is going to be pandemic. Everybody in the world is going to know about it. Everybody in the world is going to have a clue. And when that day dawns, not only will longevity be the perihelion of network marketing companies in the world, and it will make Amway look tiny by comparison, but we will have changed the fabric of human existence. We will have changed the fabric of human existence. Now you'll be able to live a long and healthy life without being straddled with depression, without being straddled with blood sugar issues, with bad joints, with children and grandchildren who have birth defects, and now you have to raise up a child with a massive birth defect and autism your entire life. Can you imagine how oppressive that is to families who are just trying to do the right thing? Can you imagine, just for a moment, if we're correct, that the majority of chronic illnesses are rooted in nutrient deficiencies? Can you imagine what life would be like with a healthy body for everybody? Can you imagine what that would be like? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to imagine. You can experience it, because what do we do best? Produce results. I don't care if you believe me. Actually, I do care if you believe me. Believe me. But quite frankly, you can go to the Internet now, you can go to 1 million health seminars a year, and everybody's going to tell you that they've got the keys to the kingdom. Well, all I'm going to tell you is, in my 20-plus years of medical work as a licensed physician, Dr. Wallach's therapeutics, as delivered through the Agency of Longevity, produce more consistent, specific, and measurable results than anything I've ever seen. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and if you want to experience health for yourself, join Longevity. You want to experience wealth for yourself and your entire family? Pick up a CEO Mega Pack. Join Longevity. And join our merry band of men, women, and yes, even children all around the world, lifting their families, their communities, their churches up into the wonderful world of longevity. Stick around, folks. Coming back with more after these messages. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you know, we're used to mediocrity. We're used to misery. So what do? We work, 40 hours a week at a job that we hate. That causes stress in our life. That stress has a negative effect on our health. And then we go back to work the next day, and then we get a health condition, and then we go to an MD who's only trained in disease management through the delivery of drugs. They give us a drug that's not only expensive, but it doesn't fix the problem, and it creates a side effect, and we get worse and worse and worse. But then guess what? We have to go right back to work the very next day. And the solution to all of this insanity, longevity. Longevity is the solution to your health and wealth concerns. Mike, I'd like to finish off this afternoon by talking about how families can benefit from putting their kids in their longevity business as members of the downline, and how that works from a dollars and cents point of view. What do you think about that idea?
Well, it's a great idea. The more successful people in the business, if you interview them and you just ask, some of their secrets to their success, one of the top reasons for their success, or at least a contributing factor, is that their entire family is involved. A family that builds a longevity business together, they get wealthy together, they get healthy together, and they stay together. I think outside of, fiscal reasons, longevity does allow folks to place their kids and other household members in in their organization. We're not one of those companies that restricts that kind of thing. We don't want people spread around the company. But if you want to keep your family together, you certainly can. And everyone profits that way. Everyone builds together. Dr. Wallach actually does a lot of work. Every event that he goes to, he's always encouraging kids not just to get involved with the business, but start to learn things about finances. The brainwashing process, if that's what you want to call it, begins when we're very, very, very young. The brainwashing into not really understanding finances, not understanding the concepts of compound interest, which Ben Franklin said is one of the most powerful forces on earth. If it's working for you, we're going to teach you those things, and we're going to teach you how to take advantage of things. Dr. Glidden, something you brought up earlier made me want to ask this question. How successful would the tax system in this country be if each and every citizen had to sit down and write the check? to pay those taxes every month, every quarter, every year. But they've got us plugged into a system to where that money is bled off automatically. We never see it. And then, you know, they spend it however they want. And if that's not enough, they just print more up. You know, if we can get people more directly involved with their finances, more directly involved with their wealth and with their health, we're all better for it. So should you involve your kids, your spouse, in your longevity business? Absolutely. Everyone will be better for it. And, hey, you know what? If you get them started young enough, they can put themselves through college if they even want to go to college. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it sure would be nice if the word student loan were never in your future or in your kids' future.
Boy, and truer words were never said. Mr. Randolph, as always, such a pleasure to have you here. I really look forward to our Tuesday afternoons together. Thanks for everything that you do. Thanks for your support. Now go out there and get her done with longevity. Ladies and gentlemen, look, here, this is what we're up against, right? If you're happy with the way that your health is going, if you're happy with your pocketbook, if you're happy with your bank account, God bless you. You know, we still have a certain amount of freedoms here in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Korea, in Japan, in order to be able to manage our affairs the way that we want to manage our affairs within certain constructs. But listen, if you're up against it, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and broke, then our answer is simple, the 90 for life, for your life, as offered through longevity. Please visit this website, fireyourmdnow.com. That's fireyourmdnow.com. Click on the longevity button, join Team Glidden, and let my team of steadfast defenders of health and wealth hold your hand and bring you slowly or rapidly, it's up to you, into the wonderful world of health recovery and wealth recovery through the agency of longevity. I'll be taking your phone calls when we come back in the second hour. You know the number, 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933. Lines are open. Give me a call.